Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of A Cup of Cozy. Today, I have the pleasure of sitting down with Jules. Jules is a Twitch streamer, content creator, cat mama, and focus music playlist creator aficionado. Welcome to the show, Jules.
Thank you for having me. It is such a great way to start my morning.
But yes, it is the start of the weekend, so I'm also very happy to be doing this at the start of the weekend. What are you drinking as your cup of cozy?
So there's a little bit of backstory to my drink today. So typically I have just black coffee with a little bit of creamer, and we have a storage of my grandmama's Colombian coffee in our kitchen. However, our coffee maker broke 2 days ago, so my husband ran to the coffee shop to grab me some today from a local place that I can't say or it'll dox me. But I am drinking a vanilla maple latte this morning.
Ooh,
Very good.
well, that's unfortunate that your coffee machine broke, but fortunate that you get a fancy coffee from the coffee shop.
Exactly. So it kind of worked out.
I feel you. We broke our coffee machine before. Well, I shouldn't say we. I broke it. I was cleaning it, and when I clean it, I move my arm around fast to swirl the water inside, the glass part.
Yeah. Oh, did it shatter?
And I hit it against the countertop, so it cracked. So yes, we have a replacement carafe, but that's always the worst for coffee machine to break. I was ambitious this morning and I used our espresso machine, and I have a latte I made, but it's just plain, just a plain latte. I have no idea how it's going to taste because I haven't made a latte in a while, but hopefully.
I'm sure it'll be delicious. Do you do cafe art or something, or no?
No, there's just some bubbles. I wish I could. It always ends up looking quite frankly, ends up looking very phallic every time I try to make something. So,
oh my God.
I'm so impressed by people who could do that kind of stuff. I went to my last episode, we had an owner from a local coffee shop on, and I actually went to a latte art competition that they had there.
As a participant, or as no, you're just watching? Okay.
Watching,
I was oh my God.
Watching, and it's wow, you make it look so easy, but it's so freaking hard. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have the patience for it, I think. I always tell my community, and just in general, I love watching those TikToks where people are grinding their own beans and sifting the coffee and all sorts of stuff, but I'm too tired in the morning to do any of that. And so latte art is just another step to me drinking my coffee, and I'd rather just get it down than spend too much time playing with it. However, if someone makes it for me and has the latte art on it, then it's really, really cool. But I don't know if I'll ever be the person who actually does it.
I know. Do you have a machine that you use ground coffee, or do you have the pods?
We have well, I don't know. I guess it's grounds. We use the grounds. Yeah. We use the grounds, and it also has a little espresso thing on the side that you can just pop the espresso pods in. So it's kind of a dual system for espresso pods and then the actual coffee beans. But we don't ever grind our own. Although I did buy a bag of coffee that I really love, and I didn't realize I bought, because it was online, I didn't realize I bought the bean version. So now I have to actually get a manual grinder or something so that I can drink it.
No, there's some cheap, I don't support buying a bunch of shit from Amazon, but there's some good coffee grinders on Amazon. We got one that we've had for a while. It was $15. Sometimes they only sell it in the bean form.
Yeah, and then it's really good, and you like it already. It's tough. It's tough.
I know. I feel you. Well, I'm glad that you did get your coffee.
Thank God, honestly, or else I would not be functioning right now.
And why don't we just jump in? For people who don't know you, why don't you give a little intro to who you are, your elevator pitch, if you will?
God, it's funny too, because whenever I have panels or any sort of interview like this, I always think about what I'm going to say, and then my mind goes completely blank before I actually talk about myself. But I don't know, I'll do a mix of my intro along with, I guess, what I typically add that's important in raid messages. So hello, I'm Jules. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a queer Latina streamer and full-time content creator. I'm Colombian and Salvadorian. My mama is from Colombia. My dad's from El Salvador. I do lots of co-working and variety content. My kind of slogan is 50-50 work and play on Twitch. I have two lovely cats named Adora and Quill after Shira and the Princesses of Power. If people haven't watched it, you should watch
I
it.
freaking love that.
Yeah, so that's Adora. Quill is named after the forest because we kind of found him in the forest, but also after Star-Lord, aka Guardians of the Galaxy, Quill,
Okay.
Peter Quill. And I have a lovely husband as well. So yeah, that's kind of like a brief intro of me. I also just finished my Master's of Science. My background is in wildlife biology and social sciences. Lots of DEIJA plus work on my end here. But yeah, that's kind of a, I think, TLDR of me.
That's really good. The degree stuff, do you think you're ever gonna go into working in that field?
I think I do want to at some point. I just graduated in November. So the thing my advisor basically told me was take a few months off and figure out like what you want to do and just celebrate being done because the stress of grad school was so crazy. But
Yeah, I'm
so
sure.
I'm kind of enjoying my time off from academia and kind of delving into more creative passions now because for a while I feel like I couldn't really be the most creative because I didn't have as much time as I do now
Yeah.
to work on things that I do love. And I do have multiple passions. So we'll see. I think I definitely want to go back into it, but I'm enjoying my time off right now and I want to see how content creation goes.
Yeah. So, how did you get into the content creation stuff in the first place?
So really it all kind of started with quarantine. I think for a lot of people it
Mhm.
started with quarantine, but I basically had graduated in 2020 from my undergrad. So it was like the suboptimal time to
Mhm.
finish a big life event. I had the virtual graduation stuff going on. So
Yeah,
very sad, but
those are
also
weird.
rewarding. Very weird. And then after that, I applied to some master's programs. I got into one, but then I lost all my funding because of COVID stuff. So I had like a year of a break that I had nothing to do except reapply for more grad schools and figure out life. So it just kind of threw me a curveball. And at that point, I basically looked at myself and realized, what do I like to do? What are my hobbies? Because I had been
Mhm.
doing so much academic work for so long. I slowly started revisiting gaming again. I found Cozy Games Kennedy on TikTok. And
Everybody knows Kennedy.
I love her. She's so sweet, but watching her content, especially as like a woman of color and just basically embracing gaming in a different light that I hadn't really thought about, the whole like not just FPS gaming, but the wide range of gaming and what that looks like and how that can also be content, but also this really fun way of expressing yourself really hit home for me. And I had never really seen a lot of women of color, especially, talk about being in the gaming industry at all. So I, without even being a viewer on Twitch, just started streaming one day.
So, and this was in like 2020.
This was like well over a year later. It was like right before 2022, like the fall of 2021. Um, I think that was when it was. To be fair, at this point, it feels like a billion years
Yeah,
ago.
yeah, yeah.
But I just started streaming. I would just like play games with my husband, or I would just play like by myself. Then eventually I realized that I really, really liked it, and that it's something that became kind of a really, really tiny hobby, grew into a huge hobby, which grew into like, oh my God, this is like a part-time job, to, oh my God, this is my full-time job now. So it's kind of funny how life does that. But that's kind
Yeah.
of the start, I guess, of it.
How often were you streaming when you started?
I believe my original schedule was Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So it was like 3 days a week. I think I think some of them were during the day and some of them were at night, but I do remember doing more night streams then because I would do a whole bunch of other stuff during the day. Like I still had a part-time job. I was interning with a few different like science communication nonprofits and stuff like that. So I was doing a lot of work. I also worked for like a state department of fish and wildlife for a little bit during that time as just trying to like, because at that point, full-time content creation wasn't my job. So I
Right.
wanted to make some sort of money. So a lot of it was in the evenings, maybe some of the days that I had off pretty much, but it was like 3 times a week, I think. And I don't even really think I had a full schedule until a few months in because, like I said, I started off and I was like, this is just for me. And then people started showing up and I was like, oh my God, there's like people here. maybe it's not just about me anymore. So
I love that. That's so fun. And I know that your channel, you're kind of known for playing Zelda games.
yeah,
So is that what you started with?
no. So
Okay, okay, a twist.
it is a twist. So basically, I started off, and I think a lot of people do, of trying to like go into something familiar to yourself or to what you see. This was not familiar to me at all. But for example, I saw Kennedy like always talking about Stardew Valley. I had
Okay.
never played Stardew Valley before.
Uh-huh.
So my first game, I think, was either ACNH or Stardew Valley. It was like one of those two because I was like, well, one, everyone was playing ACNH, even I was. Like that was
Mm-hmm.
definitely like that was the thing getting me through quarantine. But I'd never played a farming sim before, ever. So I started with some Stardew Valley after basically getting to Ginger Island and doing like the majority of the game. And most of it was like off stream. I wasn't even streaming like the whole game. I didn't know what I was doing. I played a lot of it with my husband too because we had like this co-op farm going on
Mm-hmm.
too. And after a little bit, I dropped Stardew. I basically did ACNH full time. Well, not like full time content, but like full time whenever I was
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
streaming.
yeah.
So I did ACNH for a while, and eventually I basically finished my island. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. I just couldn't do it anymore. I know that a lot of people do, like they reset their island, whatever. I wanted to cry if I had to reset my island, and it took so long that I basically was like, I'm one and done. I'm not doing this again. And Happy Home Paradise came out. We had some fun, but I burn out really quickly when it comes to games that I can't replay and they're completely different, basically,
Mm-hmm.
because my brain just needs extra stimulation or else it will like phase out entirely. So that's when I was like, well, maybe I'll try something else. And my sisters in law, which are both, my husband has two like very much younger sisters compared to us, and they were always talking about Breath of the Wild, and their whole family was obsessed with Breath of the Wild. And I had heard people talk about Breath of the Wild, but I had never played a game like Breath of the Wild before. I had played a little bit of like Skyrim, things like that in the past, but I'd never done it really myself or finished them.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? Whatever. We're going to do it. We're going to dive into Breath of the Wild. My husband was like so excited to see me start my Zelda journey. And I just absolutely fell in love with it. It was my first Zelda game. After that, I basically played through like, I don't know, like 7 or 8 games of Zelda after that. And it was really fun. I met a lot of people who I think found joy in watching someone not know what they were doing at all
Yeah.
with the Zelda, but also, I don't know, grow to love it and appreciate it. I have like tons of like the Zelda lore books now. I actually have a little buddy here too. I guess this is bad for the podcast, but it's good for the YouTube
Yeah,
video.
no.
It's a little
Yeah, so
crochet
cute.
thing.
Did you make
But
it?
no, I got it at Artist Alley at TwitchCon. I wish I could
Oh, that's so
crochet.
cute.
But yeah, so then Zelda became a big part of my community because that game just really resonated with me and a lot of other people too. And so I'm still playing sometimes Zelda games. We rotate in and out, but I'm trying to find my next one. The last one I did was Wind Waker for the first time. And that was chef's kiss, beautiful experience of a game. Yeah,
Wait, so that leads me to another question
go ahead.
because your username on Twitch is hyjules,
Mm-hmm.
which I am assuming, I've always assumed that's a play on Hyrule.
It is.
Okay, so if you didn't start, then what was like your name to start? Was it
It was
cringy?
was a little cringy. And I always tell people am I allowed to curse?
Yes.
Is this the okay? Sorry. This is the really. I'm sorry. It's like in my language. It's horrible. This is like the shitty part of having a J name is that you know how like everyone has really cute, cozy names, and they usually have some sort of little like alliteration vibe, or I don't know. They just complement each other really well. It's really hard to do Jules without like some sort of thinking of like a gem or trying to find an adjective that's positive that describes a J name. So I
Mm-hmm.
was Jolly Jules before High Jules. Yep.
We think of like Santa Claus.
Yeah, it was a time. It was definitely one of those usernames where I was like, this sounds cute for now. And then after a little, I
Yeah.
was like, I think I hate this a little bit.
I love hearing the stories of how people got their usernames because sometimes you're like, where the heck did that come from? My favorite was when I had Emily from Mises Gaming on,
Mhm.
and it was an awkward moment because she's like, like that meme, look at all them
Yeah,
moose or whatever. I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
that's so funny.
Yeah, my first username that I had for years was Pumpkin Spice Gamer because I was like, I'm a basic white girl and I'm playing video games. And I was like playing them for the first time. And like I streamed for a while years and years ago, and I was freaking streaming Fortnite. So I thought that was all clever, but yeah, I grew out of that name too. I only just recently changed it. I have been Pumpkin Spice for a really long time.
I feel like name changes are, I don't know, they're like a canon event in a streamer's
Mm-hmm.
career. It's just one of those things where you start off with something and maybe you just hit the ball out of the park the first time. But I feel like the majority of streamers, they're like, I think I need to rebrand at some point. And then
Yeah.
it's like this big self-discovery moment and it's super fun and everyone announces it. And it's like this big exciting moment because you get to kind of like relearn something about the person you're watching or whatever. And it's really cool. I like a good rebrand.
It is good. It's making me think of like back in the day, AIM
Oh
names, and like when you get your first email.
my God.
I had a Hotmail, Kelly Jelly Beans.
Holy jelly bean. Oh my God. I still have one of those, which I can't say because again, it'll dox me, but it's really cringy. And now I use it pretty much, like how stores always ask you for an email address.
Mm-hmm,
It's
mm-hmm.
basically my catch-all store discount email now. So I
Yeah.
have like professional Twitch one, my academic one, maybe like a doctor-oriented one, and then like that one, which is just like the miscellaneous, disgusting, cringe name. And at this point, it just doesn't phase me. They'll like the person at like the counter of like Hollister will be like, what's your email? And I'm like, cringy cringe at gmail.com, like, or something, whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's funny. That's a good life tip, though, to have one email that you give for like those throwaway things that you
Yeah.
don't really want for all the junk mail.
Wait, I have a question for you.
Go for it.
Are you like a clear notification, like zero notification person, or do you let them stack forever?
I let them stack.
No.
Well, let me clarify. I let them stack in one of the email accounts. In the one that I use for like the majority of things, and that's like my professional email, my Hello Kelly Simpson, I try to keep that one pretty clean.
Okay. Yeah, the miscellaneous one, I never look at that. So that one's like they probably have like 13,000 plus emails in that one, but everything else I try to keep my best at, but usually come like around Friday weekend, I try my best, especially because of grad school. It did it to me. I try not to check like anything near the weekend
Mhm.
because it's just hard. I used to always do that in academia, and I have like since tried my best to not look at it anymore. But sometimes it's to my own fault, which is not good, but it's okay.
Yeah, it could get really overwhelming emails. I had a coworker and she was like, "Have you heard of this thing called email infinity?"
What is
And
that?
she was like, "It's when you just don't delete any of your emails ever. Like you just have them keep going and going and going."
Why?
So I did that for a while at work,
Oh my God.
and
I don't. I think that would make me so uncomfortable. Like even thinking about the concept. Oh my God.
it was
Because
like you only look for the things that are important and you reply and pay attention to those, and all the rest you just leave there.
oh my God. No, I could not do that. I could not do that. Nope. I'm glad that works for some people, not for me.
It's funny how we actually have names for things of how to manage your email because it's such a part of like life.
Yeah.
Oh, going back to like grad school and studying and things like that. When, and maybe to the people who are listening, the connection is not obvious here, but I'm thinking of how Kennedy's content, she was in law school for a while, right? Law school or medical school. I don't
I
remember which one it
think
was.
so. I think so.
And she did like what's in my bag when I go to the library and like study with me videos. And that makes me think of the leap to like co-working content. What got you into co-working content?
I actually have never seen Kennedy's like study with me's
Really?
before. Yeah. I actually started co-working. So I started that really early too. So I would do every now and then, like I said, I would have to work during the day and I would just film myself working. The big thing that got me to that is I have really hard times concentrating myself on tons of work. And so a lot of the time I don't work well when it comes to like really big spaces. Like for example, in grad school, we had this shared office space, but it was also next to a whole professor offices where like students would come in and out and like would constantly ask questions. And it was spaced out where people would think I was a secretary and be like, is
Mm,
X person here? And I'd always get talked at. Or
yeah.
like my colleagues would also always talk to me and I could get no work done. Throughout college and grad school, I would just have to like lock in and watch like a playlist or whatever and just hone in, study with me on YouTube. I believe it's the Strive studies on YouTube is like she got me through high school, college, grad school, everything. So really it was YouTube content that I had seen like long form recorded content and I'd never seen anyone go live doing it. So I just figured I didn't even really think any of it when I started it. I'm not going to lie. I was like, I just really like listening to stuff and like watching somebody else study. So I'm just going to like do that one day. And then I just started doing it a lot. And people, I guess, who worked from home really resonated with that. And I honestly thought it was going to be like a few time thing, like just for me to get myself through grad school. And then it just kind of exploded into
Yeah.
this really beautiful community of people who were like, oh my God, what are you working on? Are you in grad school too? Like, you work from home? Like, yeah, like thank you for the reminders to like eat or stretch. And I think people were, myself included, just kind of looking for a connection that would help keep others accountable, but also just have like a friendly face when you're at home by yourself, or even if you're at work and maybe you don't like your coworkers or something. But yeah, so it was really through a lot of like YouTube content that I was like, I've never seen anyone do this live. And I just wanted to do it because honestly, at that point too, when I had started grad school and like started applying for stuff and all sorts of stuff,
Mhm.
um, I would have not been able to do Twitch if I hadn't merged them somehow. And I just figured this is the best way for me to stay on Twitch instead of just completely leaving. And hopefully we'll see how it goes. And then it was great. And now it's what I do a lot of.
Yeah, so for people who don't know what like co-working is, it's basically a live stream where the host is working and everybody else is just kind of doing whatever the heck they want. There's usually some sort of vibes going on with either a playlist. There might be some like idle games playing, and a really popular thing that a lot of coworkers use is the super sweet bot, which is a task list and a timer. If you know co-working, you have 100% seen it, and
Yep.
it lets the co-working be a bit more interactive because your viewers can like put their tasks on there and whatnot. I love co-working streams. They get me through my work from home job. Recently became like a recognized thing by Twitch
Thank
because
God.
before it was you were in just chatting,
Yep.
and just chatting on Twitch has a very wide range of.
Yeah, it does. It does.
So, yeah, so now there's a co-working and studying category on Twitch. And I was actually talking about this in my last episode too, because we talked a lot about third spaces and the coffee shop like being a third space. But I think that co-working streams are like digital third spaces.
I would agree with you. I think it's funny because I will talk to my colleagues, and some of them know I stream co-working and some of them don't.
Hmm.
And they'll always ask, I'm going to this place or like, where do you go study? And I'm usually like, I study at home with a whole bunch of random people. But it's funny because they'll talk about how they can't find space sometimes at like a coffee shop or like they aren't like always super happy in person. And I feel like people really don't know that there are just virtual spaces you can join to co-work,
Hmm.
which is really cool. And don't get me wrong, I love my coffee shop, my library, those experiences for sure. But there are some days, especially in the winter, I do not want to leave. I do
Yeah.
not want to leave my house. I want to stay in here and vibe. And yeah, I think it's really cool that people are learning more about co-working, and hopefully more like office type people start learning about them too, not just like Twitch adjacent office people, but like people who maybe like aren't on Twitch start coming to Twitch to watch stuff like that, because I know a lot of friends who rely on in-person stuff that really don't know about the virtual spaces yet. But I know it's also a leap as being like Twitch, because Twitch is also known for kind of a lot of hectic hyper stuff too. And I'm like, I
Yeah.
promise it's not just that. So
Yeah. I've been in the book world for a while too, and like the way I fell into co-working was people were doing reading sprints on
mhm.
YouTube, like live read with me. And it was the same thing like the Pomodoro system where you put on a timer for like 45 minutes and you read, and then you stop for 10 and you chat. So I started doing that on Twitch. And then I found like co working was a thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wish I had that in college. Like, I'm sure people were doing something similar, but I didn't know about it. And I also didn't like to go like to the library and things like that to study because I like being like in my bed,
Yeah.
all comfy, like doing my work. And I would go with my friends to the library and they'd be like, "You're the worst to study with because you always just like want to talk." I'm like, I can't help it. Like, I don't know. So co working streams would have been so helpful in college.
It's been really cool. I feel like I've met a lot of other, not even just like work from home people, but even like grad students. I feel like that was really cool. That honestly helped get over the edge of like my finish line for grad
Hmm.
school too, is other people like cheering me on, or all of us like working on something together that we knew was like a pain in the ass. And that was really cool to just kind of see everyone kind of coming together, even of different like industries or like
Mm,
student worker, like professional, whatever your like title is, and everyone kind of being able to relate to one another of just some days are really good with work, some days stink, and emails or meetings that could have been emails and all sorts of stuff that I don't know, I think also helped bridge the gap between maybe a lot of different workplaces that you may not always see intermingling together, and people learning about what other people are doing in chat too, and talking about really cool topics. I got the chance to
that's
talk a
true.
lot about my research too, and that was really fun as well, because I was able to practice science communication, but also like he would ask me questions and I could kind of teach them about like this new world that I was studying, and they would teach me about theirs. And so it was this cool back and forth system we had going on. I think we still have
That's
going on.
that's true. I didn't even think of that. That's pretty cool. And that's kind of a good segue into my another topic of what's it been like building your community and creating your community and like meeting people virtually and having these virtual connections.
It has been, I mean, really, it's been like the joy of my life. It's been really, really fun. I think for a lot of people, Twitch is about building community, that you just like making friends and finally kind of having a group of people see you as you, and being a place of safety. And for me, I am just really proud that my community, I think, represents a lot of the best values that I have and that we share. And they're just respectful and funny and silly, but also productive. And they're just wonderful human beings, as different as they may be. And I don't know. They're just a wonderful reflection of myself and each other, that I'm proud to know them. And I always tell them this, but and I always tell other streamers this too, is sometimes I feel like I'm a little strict, or I may come off harsh with how I moderate my streams, because we don't tolerate a lot in my stream when it comes to certain types of individuals or whatever. But I think that doing that has made my community a really, really protective and really safe environment for a lot of people, especially marginalized communities or systematically marginalized communities.
Hmm.
And so I always tell people it's your community you're building. So at the end of the day, when you go to bed, are you proud of the community you have built? Are they people that you would want to basically have dinner with or talk to every day? Because that's what you're doing, basically. And so for me, I love my cat cafe. That's what they're called, but they're just amazing and incredible and so supportive. And yeah, I can't wait to meet more of them. I'm hoping to meet more of them like at TwitchCon or at other cons, and maybe even just run into them in the future. Like I've run into some of them like in my city, and it's been really cool. And that's been, yeah, it's just been really, really great. But yeah, I don't really know how to say it because I have like no words for how much I appreciate and adore them because they're just awesome. And yeah, I don't get all
It's
emo talking about it.
I feel like it's hard to explain to people how you could have like this relationship with people that maybe you haven't even seen what they actually look like.
Yeah.
Um, my husband has been playing like online games forever in a bit of the toxic male gaming community. He played like CS:GO and he plays a lot of PUBG, but there are people that he's been playing games with on there for years. And like now we've met some of them in person, and it's like people don't get that you can build that relationship online because there's some bad rap with like catfish and shit.
Yeah.
But
And I think it's like good to be protective, of
yeah,
yourself and stuff. Like that was the one thing my mom would tell me when I was younger, especially with like Tumblr and like all sorts of stuff. She'd be like, like you can't just like make friends on the internet or whatever. And I
Meagle.
definitely, oh my, I actually never did Omegle, but I saw people doing it. It's so funny. I was actually talking to my community about Omegle like a week ago or something. And I was like, I was too, like, I did not want to talk face to face with anybody online ever. Like, and I'm not even an introvert, I'm an extrovert, but I was like, that just never suited me. I just loved playing Gaia online, being on Tumblr, like, doing my own thing. Like, I was like a tiny child, insecure. Like, I was not about to go talk to another human being online like that, not like face to face. My
Yeah.
God.
Like yeah, it's weird as I'm talking about it because the internet can be a dangerous place,
Yeah.
especially for young people. But I feel like on Twitch, especially how you were saying you're like very protective of your community and pretty strict about kind of who you let into it by moderating chat and things like that,
Mhm.
that nowadays there's a lot safer spaces for people to find that online community. And I definitely found that on Twitch. And I don't know, maybe you could explain a little bit as a streamer, like how this is totally off the cuff. I wasn't planning on talking about this.
So you're fine.
How you are able to protect your community in that way and like moderate who comes in it. So, like, if we have somebody listening who's like a parent of a teen and their teen is like, I really like watching Twitch, mom. It's like really cool.
Oh my
Their
God.
mom is like, you can't be on there. Like, there's sketchy people on the internet. Like, what would you say to that mom to be like, no,
God.
like, my cat cafe is safe for your teenager?
Oh, so well, first off, and like I don't know if people like know this, but basically my community is 16 plus. So there are no I prefer not there to be any children in my chat because we do have
Fair.
mature
Yes.
conversations and sometimes we play mature type games where I do not want to be held responsible. Also, sometimes you can kind of almost tell when someone's like a kid in chat, and that's a good thing
Mm,
too at parents is streamers can tell when it's like a child because they make no sense typically. And then we just kick them out. But I don't know. I think I mean, like, as somebody who's done a lot of like advocacy and stuff, I like to think my community is safe. It may not be safe for everybody. I like basically when people talk about safe spaces, I think it's very much like a person defines what a safe space is for them.
sure.
And for me, I do my best to not tolerate a lot of, I mean, like a whole bunch of streamers do racism, discrimination, like all that type of
Hmm.
stuff. However, I think more so how we kind of vibe or kind of how our community exists is people need to be open minded. We are not open to people who are closed minded, who are there to not listen, who are there to not really evaluate and analyze what the human experience looks like, what human rights looks like. Because for us, we have a lot of people obviously with many lived experiences, and we can't all relate to each other,
Hmm.
but we can at least respect and listen to one another. And we will consistently talk about things like that in our stream because it's hard to separate yourself from those conversations when you become those conversations and when like
Yeah.
politics become like your existence basically. And so for me, it's very much like a safe space is kind of chosen by that individual. But at least if parent were like, what do you talk about and stuff, I would say, we are 16 plus. Yes, we have really fun conversations, but we also have scientific conversations. We also have political or educational conversations. And as long as you are open minded, you are welcome in my community, as long as you're respectful. And as long as you just treat people like people, you will be fine. Unfortunately, that's not always the case in every Twitch chat. And I think that that's a shame, but it's pretty easy to find streamers who I think share those values because you kind of look in their circles and you can kind of figure it out, or you can just spend a little time in their streams and see. My thing with parents too on
Yeah.
Twitch is like if you are ever worried about like what your child is watching, then maybe just watch a little bit of that streamer yourself
Yeah.
and make the call. I am not a parent. I have no idea how that works. But that'd be kind of my go-to is, like, let me check this person out. If they're cool, I'll be like, okay, you can like stay on Twitch and maybe watch this person or whatever. But yeah, I definitely know that if my potential hypothetical kid is watching certain streamers, I'd be like, we're not watching Twitch
Yeah,
anymore.
no,
So
for sure. Like, so usually if you like scroll down in people's streams, they have panels underneath so you could kind of read what their community guidelines are or
mm,
their rules for their community, which is a good start. But I'm thinking like comparing this to YouTube because YouTube has been a huge conversation with like kids content for years.
yeah.
But it's so different. For Twitch, I feel like look at it and would you be comfortable with that person being friends with being friends with
Yeah.
that person? Or if you are younger, which I think you are supposed to be 13 to be on
I think
Twitch at
so,
all.
yeah.
So I'm
But like
going with that.
also, I mean, I was on sites and I definitely wasn't the
Yeah, yeah, like you're not supposed to be, but like so if you're younger, like would this person be someone you'd look up to? Or for
yeah.
parents, is that someone that you want your kid to look up to? Like that's the way you could kind of look at Twitch content versus YouTube content is like now I'm just thinking of those freaking Spider-Man and Elsa videos.
I don't think I've seen
Do you
those.
remember that?
No.
I don't have kids either, but have nieces and nephews. And there were these really popular YouTube videos of like these brothers, and one dressed up in a Spider Man costume and one dressed up in an Elsa costume. And they would just like do random shit. Kids loved this. We're obsessed with these videos.
Oh.
And some of it was like slapstick comedy, like they get hit in the face with a
Oh,
broom or
no.
something, and like it was a really weird time for children's internet. I feel like it's gotten a lot more moderated these days, but the internet is full of so much weird shit.
That's so funny. I feel like I'm so out of the loop. It's funny. I always feel like such a boomer, and I tell my chat like to please catch me up on like Gen Alpha terms or like what kids are doing because I'm also an only child. So I have literally zero experience with children. Like I never had siblings. I never really grew up with tiny kids. I always grew up with kids kind of my age. I've never really watched a child grow up until one of my like best internet friends just had a baby and like I get to see a child grow up now, but even then, it's just like, what are kids doing now? I have no idea. I have no idea. I learned the term mog recently, and I can't stop saying it. And my community keeps like messing with me about it. But then I mog them, so it doesn't matter. So, mogging is basically like, how do I explain it? It's like you're showing someone up by mogging them.
Okay.
Like you mog someone means you showed them up.
Okay. Okay.
I'm learning. See this terminology. Now I get to pass on my knowledge. This is fantastic.
My younger brother, he's 5 years younger than me. So he was born in 2000.
Oh my God.
So he gives me some terms, like when mint was a term, a slang
Mm-hmm.
term people were using. I was like, what are you talking about? Gum? Why, why are you saying that? And he's like, Kelly, you don't know what mint means?
I feel like they're just making stuff up at this point. Like some of the words, I'm just like, this can't be real. Like this, I don't understand how you use this like an actual human conversation. Like what is happening?
Yeah. And then you get into like really younger kids, like my nieces. He's my niece is 10, or about to be 10. So they got some real weird terms that like Gen Alpha.
They kind of scare me. I'm not gonna lie. They kind of scare me, but it's okay. I try and like stay. It's funny because like I was gonna say stay hip, but I don't even think people are saying hip anymore. So I shouldn't even say that. I'm just up to date. I guess I don't know.
We're adults on the internet, it's a different world.
Yeah,
Let's switch topics a little bit. I don't know how we got down this
that
like
was
kid
fun though. I
tangent.
liked it.
A weird tangent. Something else that you and I talked about before was reading, because we're both readers too. So why don't we talk about that a little bit? What are you currently reading?
Oh my God, I wish I had it next to me. I am currently reading the Mistborn series by Brandon Sanderson. So it is my introduction into the Cosmere, or so I've been told.
Hmm.
It is high fantasy, a really cool magic system. Written, honestly, I was a little like intimidated by Sanderson,
I am
because
intimidated by
his
Sanderson.
books are like very well known. And I feel like a lot of like high fantasy readers praise him and like kneel before him, when it comes
Hmm.
to fantasy books. But I will say for anyone that is intimidated, and you, that his writing actually isn't that bad. I thought it was going to be like jargony, fantastical writing that was going to be super hard to follow. He's actually really straightforward, like easier than some other fantasy books I've read, surprisingly. And
Hmm.
I've loved the book so far. I actually stayed up too late reading some of it last night because I got to a really good part. And so I woke up today like a zombie and I was like, I need to like get it together because we have this podcast today. It's really good. We're actually reading it with our book club, like in our Twitch community, which right now, which is cool. So everybody's kind of reading it the same time on Storygraph. So we have like a little buddy read stuff going on, but
Nice.
it's really good. What are you reading right now?
I am reading A Day of Fallen Night, which is the prequel to Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha
Yeah,
Shannon. Yeah, and it's a brick of a book. It's massive, but I really loved Priory of the Orange Tree. So I was like, I've got to read this one. The writing is just beautiful. It's so descriptive. The world is like so lush. There's a lot of lore and like things about court and dragons and stuff. I love fantasy. So if I'm reading a book and there's no dragons, I'm like really missing the dragons.
there has to be some like mystical creature or something, or else then it's like, what's the point? Like, just
I know.
magic, just magic,
I
that's it.
know. So yeah, I'm reading that. I'm really liking it. I've been in a slump a little bit of starting a bunch of books and not finishing them. So, and then of course I pick up like a book that's like 800 pages and I'm like, this is the one that's going to get me out of my reading slump.
No.
But I knew I like the writing style, so that's really good. What's like one of your favorite books you've read?
Well, I've actually been talking about it very much recently because I want everyone to read it. My favorite book, I have several, but probably my top three, one of my favorite books is Fahrenheit 451. And I have very much been telling people to read that book because it is about censorship. And it is it's just so well written. We analyzed the crap out of that book when we read it, and I read it multiple times. I think it's such a amazing book. That one is probably one of my favorites. I also love The Life of Pi, surprisingly. I feel like some people really shit on Life of Pi sometimes, but it was really nice. I kind of loved the journey you take like in that book, and it was really cool. So yeah. And then I tend to read a lot of nonfiction too, but I'm trying to get back into fiction because for a while I was basically reading too much nonfiction to the point where I was like, oh my God, I need a break. This is too heavy, or like, this is too serious of a topic. I need to escape to my fantasy world. So now I'm kind of taking a break from all of those books to kind of come back into some fun.
Yeah, I bet in grad school you were reading a lot of nonfiction.
Well, mostly journal articles in grad school, but I'm a nerd, so I was just for fun reading a bunch of nonfiction books to try and like understand my research a little bit better. But I guess that's how you know you have like you actually enjoy what you do is when you kind of seek out those books and continue kind of nourishing that knowledge because it was really, really good reads. But my God, it definitely after a while you're like, you need a break and then do something fun because it was a lot.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like some. I used to read only nonfiction at one point. I was like, what's the point of reading if you're not learning something about the world from it? And then I realized that's dumb.
Yeah.
And you could learn a lot about the human experience from reading fiction books.
Yeah.
But I definitely read some interesting, like, nonfiction. Oh, Elizabeth Gilbert's Big Magic. That was a good one. It's not scientific at all. It's about being creative and, like, kind of how an idea forms and how you nourish an idea
That's
to
cool.
an end state. I was an English major in college and creative writing specialty. So
Nice.
lots of like the nonfiction I was reading was about writing. Yeah, not
Do you
as much.
practice a lot of your writing now, like in your work, or is it more?
No, well, like communication wise, yes, like I have to be a good writer to communicate certain things in my day job, but how it's kind of carried with me through adulthood is my love of reading and stories in
Yeah.
general. And I have a library in my house. That was like one of my dream things to have. So we
Oh,
changed our formal living room into a library with wall-to-wall bookshelves, and
that
it's
is so pretty. That's the
amazing and
dream.
magical.
Do you have, okay, so this is my dream because I would love a library room at some point in like a future house. Because right now we're in an apartment. I was like, I don't want to deal with all of this in an apartment. It has to
Mhm.
be when we have a house. Do you have, I really want one of these, those like little ladders that slide on the bookshelves?
Yeah, the plan is to get one. So we built the shelves like a year, probably more than a year ago now.
Mhm.
And we used Billy bookcases from IKEA to do it. Yep.
Same.
But we like built them into the wall to make them look like built-in.
I
So
see.
it was a long process. There's many YouTube tutorials on how to do such things. But so the whole project was like less than $2,000 to put it all together. But then shopping for the ladder is like $800, $900 to put the ladder in.
It's
And
time
I'm
to
like,
build our own ladder, honey.
I'm not about to like have done this project on a budget to spend half of what I paid for this whole thing to
On
put
a
the ladder on.
ladder.
So it does not have a ladder yet, but the idea is to get a ladder.
I didn't realize the ladders were that expensive. Holy crap. Like, what?
I don't know why. I really don't know why. And especially if you want it to be like have that bell moment where you
Yeah,
slide.
that's the moment I was thinking of.
Yeah, I'd like that eventually. I just get out the ugly step ladder to get to the top shelves now.
Yeah. I usually just tell my husband to grab them for me. I don't think we have a little step stool. I'm realizing maybe we should purchase one or
Mhm.
something.
It's a good household item to have. Adult things you get excited about. I bought a step
Step
ladder.
stool.
I love that. So I'm guessing that your community has also got a lot of readers in it if you all have a book club.
Yeah, I would say a lot of readers, but to be fair, like I think everybody kind of has their own little thing, which is cool. Like what I've learned a lot and kind of going back to community when we were talking about it earlier is everyone, I really love it because I everyone decides to share a little bit about their life when you like enter a Twitch stream. And
Mhm.
so I try my best to remember like facts about people because I think that that helps me understand them better. And so like we have a lot of readers, we have a lot of people who like thing, they all have like their thing in my head. Like I'm
Mhm.
like this username has this thing, like this person has this thing. There's like definitely some readers, there's definitely some like crocheters, there's like, you know, a whole bunch of people that have kind of like their specialty in my eyes, almost like their like quirk or whatever.
Mhm.
And so it's cool. We have a lot of readers, but we also have like a lot of like crafters. We have a lot of like runners. Like people do all sorts of stuff at this point, like coding their own games and like all sorts of really fun, wacky stuff that I get to learn from. Like my mom wanted to get into embroidery. And I was
Mhm.
like, does anyone in here know embroidery like a good beginner? So then like a whole bunch of them were like, here are my go-to embroidery sets and stuff. And I was like, holy crap. I was like, thank God that you all like everybody has like their own little thing that they can advise me on because I was like, I don't know where to get my mom started on embroidery, but she asked me as if I do it. I was like, I don't even do it, but okay, like I guess I can help you out though.
I could just ask the internet.
I can just ask the internet. Yeah, I don't even need to Google anymore. I can just ask them and be like, hey, like, what is a good starter set for this? Like, what do y'all recommend? My mods are the reason my skin is like semi good because they got me on Korean skincare. Like, they, at this point, like, they're in like, it's funny, they're like in my house, they're like in my life. Like, so many things I do, I'm like, oh, yeah, like this person, you know, recommended this. And then it's just a part of my routine now. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. See, again, we just keep going back to how the relationships you build on the internet, having a real impact in your real life.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It is really cool. So, we're getting close to the top of the hour. Shall we play the game?
Sure. I'm excited and nervous.
The game is always a surprise. Everybody's always nervous. It's hilarious to me. I played this game with another guest, but they were like a book content creator. So we're taking a spin on this to make it gaming related.
All right.
And I'm using a little bit more of the mild name for this game, Kiss, Mary, Kill.
Oh, okay, okay.
And I picked two game universes that I know that you are aware of. So we're going to do characters from
God.
Marvel Rivals
My God. Kill all of them. No, I'm just kidding.
And some characters from A Legend of Zelda.
Ooh.
All right. So
This
there's
is
gonna
so
be
hard.
there's 4 different scenarios. So get 4 times. All right. So the first one is Marvel Rivals characters: Cloak and Dagger,
Okay.
Invisible Woman, and Squirrel Girl.
Okay. I will kill Squirrel Girl immediately. Kill immediately. Um, ooh, it's interesting. Cloak and Dagger are 2 people. So it's kind of freaky, you know? I feel like, see, Invisible Woman's my main. She's the love of my life, but she also has like a giant booty.
That's a deal
So,
breaker.
no, it's like a huge plus, but also Dagger has a huge booty too. Honestly, I think I would kiss Cloak and Dagger, and then I would marry Invisible Woman. Yep.
All right.
That would be many firsts for me. But yeah.
Love it. Okay. The next one, Groot,
Sorry, I'm trying to think. I was like, oh, the tree. Okay.
Strange, so Doctor Strange,
Okay.
and Human Torch.
Ooh. I think I would kill Stephen Strange. I admire him, but I just feel like he would be so condescending to me all the time.
Yeah.
So I'd just be like, I don't want to deal with you anymore. So we'll kill him. I think I would marry Groot because I think he would treat a lady correctly, Like,
Mm.
and then I would kiss Human Torch or Johnny Storm because he's hot. Literally
Physically.
hot. Visibly. But I feel like Groot would, like make me breakfast in the morning
I could
and
see
would,
that.
like I think that if like he picked like if they all picked out a wedding ring, that Groot would actually take the time to like forge his own ring for me or something.
I was gonna
And
say he'd probably like grow it somehow.
yeah, and it'd be like he'd be romantic, about it. So I mean, we wouldn't be able to have any real conversations, but it's okay. Like it's fine.
You could learn your own language, your own.
Maybe I'll learn Brutish. What is? I don't even know what he's tree.
Oh.
Like I don't know.
Okay, moving on from the Marvel universe to the Zelda universe. Okay, the first one, pretty key characters here. Link, Zelda, and the one to throw you for a loop, Beetle.
Beetle. I feel so bad because like Beetle, I see like like when a child is born, it's like all innocence and purity. Like there's nothing wrong with them. They're just like this perfect little being. Like Beetle to me is like this pure dude, but I don't think I'd want to marry him because he just no, and I wouldn't want to kiss. I would have to kill Beetle, unfortunately.
Poor Beetle, I love Beetle.
And I love him, but like with these other two, I mean, it's so hard. It's so hard with Link and
I
Zelda.
know, I know.
I would probably see, like, I don't know why I'm thinking about this because I know my answer, but I just love them both so much. I would kiss Zelda and then I would marry Link for sure because as much as I love Zelda and I love her, Link is just like, that's my husband. That's my husband. He's just so perfect. And honestly, oh my God, him as a character, I relate so heavy to him. I just love how he's written. I love just how, like, this thing sounds so weird because it's like, this is not a real human being. This is like a character. I love how, like, in touch he is with his, like, femme side. He's, like, very
Hmm.
much like this. He just seems, like, so open-minded and, like, so like fun to be around, but also so shy. And I love me a little nerd. I do. I love me like a
Mm.
little dork, and it's funny because people will always be like, oh, Link, like strong. He's supposed to be this like hero. But to me, he's just like this dude, like this like little geeky,
He
silly
is a
dude.
little dude, in my opinion.
He's a little dude, but I love him. I love my little dude. Like he's just, yeah, I could not be without him. Like sorry, Zelda. I could be without you, but it's okay.
I mean, in most of the games, she's not around for most of the
This
time.
is true. This is true. Yeah, so like we'd have a memorable night and then that was it. Like it's fine. And then that's it.
All right. And the last one, we've got some more minor characters for you to choose between.
God, you're laughing. I'm scared.
I'm gonna say his name wrong. Hetsu.
Hetsu? Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. Yep, yeah, the Korak guy with the maracas.
Okay.
Okay, a fairy from the fairy fountain, but like in the retro games.
Well, the older games.
Yeah, so she's got like Laura Croft boobs, like pointy.
Pointy boobs. Are they big though?
Yeah, she's like massive. She like comes out
Okay.
of the lake and she's like just this huge, gorgeous fairy.
Okay. Because I asked this because I played Wind Waker and the fairies there had like no cleavage and I was so disappointed. I was like,
Okay.
no.
I think I'm thinking from like Majora's Mask
Okay.
is probably the fairy I'm thinking of. And then the Navi fairy.
Oh my God. Navi? He's
Yeah.
like a little, he's like a child. Oh my God.
I saved the best for last.
Well, okay. I would kiss the fairy because I am no better than a man. I am no better than a man. I don't want to kill Navi, but I don't want to marry Navi. I would rather marry Hestu. I think I would marry Hestu because he's just like this. He's like responsible for like he's like the Korok king basically. He's like responsible for all the Koroks. Like he knows how to handle children. You know, Navi. I would have to kill Navi, I guess, because also Navi is like I love Navi, but he also is just like hey. He's like kind of annoying sometimes. So he's like this. He's like a child. But I feel bad. I would just
And
get rid of him.
how would it work with Navi?
Hey, he just float around me? Like, it'd be weird. I don't know, it'd be strange. So I guess I would have to kill him or get rid of him somehow. I don't know, an accidental, like, death situation or something. Like, mystery, like, oh, where did Navi go? I don't know.
Yeah, that one was a hard one, but I had to figure out how to get Hetsu in there. I don't know. I think I'd probably kill Hetsu because I think he'd get annoying with his little maraca
My God.
dance all the time. It'd be like every time he's like excited about what we have for dinner. It's like does this
Little
little
maraca.
maraca dance. Okay. You heard it here first.
Yep.
Everyone that Jules would kiss, marry, and kill in the Marvel Rival and Legend of Zelda universes.
Oh my goodness. Honestly, I was not expecting this, but this was great. I loved it. Honestly, I'm still shocked that I chose group, but honestly, I think I made the right decision. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he'd be a gentleman.
I think so too. Yeah. Well, I guess I'm assuming it's like big adult Groot, not like the tiny one with headphones that's a brat.
Yeah, no. Big adult Groot, the Groot who's in Marvel Rivals.
Yeah.
He's like kind of cool looking, the design. I haven't played that game, but I watched your stream of it yesterday. And I was like, now I feel like I have to play it.
Some of his skins are, I'm not gonna lie, some of them are I would smash. Maybe. I mean, compared to some of the other ones, I don't know. It's hard though. Marvel Rivals makes everyone look so good that I'm like, ooh.
It's got that anime vibe where everybody is just a really attractive person.
Yeah.
So, Jules, it was really nice having you on. Can you let people know how they can connect with you and find you?
Yes, of course. So I guess the easiest way to connect with me is probably on Twitch because then I can actually talk to you live, But twitch.tv/hyjules, HYJULES. I have a co-working YouTube channel by the same name as well. I do not go live there, but if you need co-working playlists or just good vibes, that's a good place to find me. And then offline connections, if you have business stuff, I have my email in my bio. But if you want to join our community, for example, we're watching One Piece this weekend as a community, and we do book clubs and stuff too. My Discord link should be in like pretty much all of my Twitch panels, or in them and or in the YouTube bio thing. But yeah, that's basically probably the best way to find me. And I'm trying to think of anything else. I'm live Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. That's it.
I love it. Is there anything you want to leave the audience with?
I will say, if you're a streamer watching this, to always be yourself, to not be afraid to keep your space protected and to basically not tolerate things that you're not comfortable with because it is a space that you are building. And if you are like anybody else, that please unclench your jaw, drink some water, and to have a lovely day, and to know that there are really cool streamers out there that not only do co-working but other stuff too. But Twitch is not just kind of this fun gaming sphere, that there's a lot of really cool people you can meet, and that I hope to see you around sometime. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much, Jules. It was great having you on the show, and I hope that lots of people go and check you out on Twitch and other places. All right. Thank you, everyone, and I'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks.